Can being vulnerable ever be a turnoff? If so, how?
I don't know.
Amanda, I just feel like I need to get to know you better because I've been hurt by my previous relationship, and I just want to let you know, like, I just got to take things slowly. And my ex, she cheated on me.
I just want to fuck. I don't want to be your counselor.
My ex, Amanda,
they're the ones that are the bad ones.
My ex cheated on me, and my ex before that cheated on me, and my ex before that cheated on me. Amanda,
I think if you haven't dealt with the effects of whatever it is that you went through, and you haven't you haven't processed that, then yeah, I think that it can
fuck
work.
me. How do you feel about a dude who talks to you like that?
Is dry.
I personally like emotional intelligence and emotional awareness, but
Yeah.
That's the sound of your drying up.
that crack and pepper.
Haba.
I mean, I don't know. I think I don't know.
Did your previous partner have emotional intelligence?
Absolutely not.
Yeah, not?
What?
No, he pretended to.
He pretended to?
Yeah, he
Okay.
pretended a lot of things.
Okay.
They
You
do.
pretend to have
do.
emotional intelligence.
We'll give him
We need another tequila.
I wasn't physically catfished, but I was catfished. and
Your
I-
catfish? Let's get her another tequila. She needs another one. She was catfish. Niku, can we get another tequila?
She has
What about you?
Buyer's remorse.
Yes, please.
No. What was the question before about men being too vulnerable? Was that it?
I'll read it to you again. Can a guy that you're attracted to or aroused by being vulnerable ever be a turnoff? If so, how?
It depends if they're actually really being vulnerable or faking it. I've dated a guy before who could make himself cry and then would say, all these horrible things his exes did, and straight away I was like, red flag, what am I doing?
Mm-hmm.
That's when it's scary. That's a turn off. If someone can make themselves cry, as opposed to being vulnerable, I believe, I've actually sat here holding it in whilst you were all saying this. For me, when you're dating someone, and any time in your life, it shouldn't just be about sex. It shouldn't be just about the way they look or what they have. Like, you should be able to be your full, authentic self with these people.
Can you answer this as a Valley girl?
Yeah, sure. Let me scrap that.
Okay.
Okay, so.
No. Go ahead. Do it.
I like that button so much. Thank you so much. What was the question?
You're talking about being your genuine self, but I want you to do it with an
being
American
your genuine
accent.
self, right? So when you're dating someone, I think you should be your genuine, authentic self. You should be able to live your life just the way you want to live, and that person should make your life better. As in, they should be able to be their authentic self, and I should be able to be my authentic self.
Her American accent is better than mine.
You should. It's so much better. I've been practicing. I just copy you. That's all. Hey, Zoe. Let's watch that porn.
Do you like
now.
it? Do you like it?
You'd be vulnerable together.
Zoe, do you like him to be
so
vulnerable? Are you
vulnerable
going to come out there and be like, fuck that? I just want him to have sex with me and shut the fuck up.
No, I like it when guys are vulnerable, but I like to be the reason why they're crying in my arms.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah?
I'm like, don't come to me with your problems that are don't have anything to do with me. If I'm making you cry, hot.
You have such a masculine energy right
That's
now.
it.
You want them
I love
to
that
be
for you.
obsessed with you.
Yeah, I like to make them out to be a bitch a little bit.
Bitch slapping him around.
Have you ever done that?
Cry for me.
All the time.
Do you stay with those guys?
Give me a story. Tell me when the last
For the
time.
most part.
Tell us.
Give us a story.
Tell us everything.
What did you do to him? How did you hurt him?
I don't know.
She's smiling too much.
I'm not telling any stories, but
scared.
most of my exes, I asked them for honest reviews, and one of them actually sent me a full review, and at the end of it, he said, the words that I would use to describe you is what was it? A soul-sucking succubus.
Oh my god! I think we've all been called that, haven't we? Even when
Put one in the chat if you want to ask out Zoe. Put one in the chat for Zoe. You want a
red
succubus
flag.
in your life.
Take
Put the
it.
word
It's a
succubus
it's a
in
red
the
flag, baby.
chat.
I'm there. It's a red flag. I'm coming.
Comment succubus and she will give you a discount.
That's what you can address me as
Like-
next time.
You know who you look like? You remind
Go ahead, Amanda.
I
The
think
one
the
from
vulnerability
Sinbad.
also
Right.
for a
What else?
man
Sinbad.
to be expressive or to express vulnerability, it depends on what his angle is and what time in the relationship that he's being vulnerable.
Yeah.
Now,
Totally agree.
can you
Right?
Yeah.
can you define what you think vulnerability is? Because we're joking around here saying, he's I'm gonna be vulnerable to you. That's okay. That's kind of silly, but like vulnerable in what way?
Well, being
Real.
expressive about his feelings and I think that takes a lot of courage for a man to open up and be like, exactly, and not try to put on this cape of masculinity.
So you don't think it would be clingy? You don't think it would be like, I really love you?
I think it. I think that's just conditional on the situation.
See, I think that when we talk, I think when guys and women talk about vulnerability, I don't think they share a common definition.
Yeah, I have like 40 people that work for me. And when we do meetings, I don't have the luxury of being vulnerable. When I was a captain of my unit in the military, I do not have the luxury of sitting there crying in front of these men. I have to look confident so they feel confident. That's my burden as a man. So I just don't understand that. Do I have the same feelings you do? I do. I just express them differently. I express them in the gym. I express them with a bench press max. That's what I'll do. And I was like, I don't like just completely hold them in, but it's one of these situations where it's like it's not functional. We have tequila for you because you were catfished. I thought that was really unfair that you had to deal with that. Go ahead.
I said my staring. Yeah, no, I completely agree. The only thing is, I do feel like that affects a lot of relationships if a guy closes himself off,
sure,
or like goes off with his problems, because then the woman's like, "What's wrong? Is he cheating? Is he doing this?" And then you've got this whole miscommunication, and then they end up arguing. But then the guy doesn't want to express himself. And
yes,
the
that's just
like,
good game.
I'm
But
fine.
then she ends up staying with him forever.
Yeah, and the
and
woman's
it's
like-
just
She ends up
The woman's
fucking
like,
him
I'm
and bringing
fine,
women home to
I'm
him. What a
fine.
fucking terrible.
horrible.
That sounds
Don't do those.
terrible.
Don't do those things.
I'm fine. And then
I think
Fine.
every single
It's
guy's learned this the
vicious
hard way, and every single guy knows the answer to this question. Whenever a guy shows his emotion in any fucking way, in any situation, business, life, military, girls, it never ends well. And the guy will always fucking regret doing that shit every single time. And that's why so many girls are like,
Aw.
oh, who hurt
broke
you?
your heart?
Who hurt you?
Who
I
hurt
called
you?
him. Because so
Who
many
hurt
girls
you?
say those
It was
things.
your
'cause-
Tesla.
Yeah. Because it's just the truth.
See, men tend to default,
scary.
like women, when it comes to emotionality, like
Yeah.
women default to crying, guys default to anger. So, like, for instance, like I
laugh.
just recently, about a month ago, when all the shit was going down with Fresh and the baby scare, like the baby trap scare that
Yeah,
was going on.
I just heard about that
And,
recently.
and
bro.
so,
bad.
and so Myron was like defending Fresh, and he broke his coffee cup, and he was just like losing his shit on.
Wow.
So what do you think the people in the chat said? Oh, so emotional. So, they were just like coming down on him.
Yeah, like that, don't do that.
He wasn't crying. He wasn't being a bitch. He was actually had some sort of righteous anger about all this stuff, and he was being emotional, but he was doing so, and it's because he was impassioned to go and to actually do that. Right? He was emphasizing his points.
Yeah, that's his boy.
Emotionally, yeah, as a boy. So I think that when women say, "Oh, well, men need to share their emotions," well, the thing is most guys default to anger first when they're going to share their emotions. But
Yeah.
on top of that, men and women don't process emotions, and especially negative emotions, in the same way. We don't have the same hardware. We don't, like, men and women, believe it or not, are different down to the molecular level, down to the cellular level. So when you look at the way that, if you look at brain scans of men and women, bless you. When you look at men and women, and you look at the way that the synapses are connected, yes, women have a better faculty for communication. They have a better faculty for like nuance and subcommunications, and as far, they enjoy the conversation, whereas guys are more informational. We have a different way of thinking about things. So we don't lead with emotions. It's not that we don't have them. We just save them to process those later, after whatever it is that we're trying,
Because it's
whatever
dangerous.
problem that we're trying to solve at that time. We don't think about, how am I going to feel about this problem? We go and we fucking address the problem, and then we figure out how we feel about it. For women, it's the opposite way around. It's like, oh, how does this conversation make me feel? And then it's like, okay, well, what did that bitch just tell me? Like what's the information? So it's like there's a miscommunication there. So like my favorite example of this is, just because your boyfriend doesn't cry at the end of fucking Titanic doesn't mean he's emotionally stunted. He doesn't have literally does not have the same hardware that you do in your brain. But we're still expecting that guy to be vulnerable and emote like a woman. Like to express your emotions and everything else. Well, maybe his default expression of emotion is to go to the gym and sit under 400 pounds in the squat rack.
Yeah,
Man. That
if he's
it.
a masculine dude, they're
Yeah.
thinking about emotional,
well,
feminine guys.
because the thing is when we talk about, that's why I said there's there's different definitions and different concepts of like what is vulnerable, what's not, between men and women. So guys, to be emotional, it might be Myron breaking his fucking glass on the his cup on the countertop there. Whereas for women, it might be, well, how come he doesn't tell me like his true feelings, and how come he doesn't cry in my lap, and how come oh my gosh, I can't. He wants are we gonna have a baby?
Guys are actually more vulnerable and more soft than women. Like, they love harder, 10 times harder than women. It just takes them, like, they have that big wall up, don't they? But they're actually softer and they love harder. That's why they hurt harder. But there is a difference between expression and aggression. So it's just if they can learn how to channel that, and they learn that at a certain age most of the time.
Well, again, learning to do that is something that has to be taught and conditioned into a child that doesn't have the hardware to really do that. So what you're doing is you're basically taking software to override the firmware in that case.
Yeah.
So his natural impulse is to do what he does. So when men are like not emotionally available, it's not that they're not emotionally available. They simply don't process emotions the same way that women, and especially negative emotions, the same way that women do. So I think that's something to keep in mind when we're talking about emotions, but also when it comes to vulnerability. And I agree with Mike here. I think if your personality is predominantly really alpha, and you're really like a woman has a really hard time reaching you, vulnerability. If you show just a little bit of a vulnerability to that woman, she thinks she's special. She's the only girl in the world that can drag that out. It's like Beauty and the Beast, right? I'm the only girl, a special girl that can take this out of him.
I think the boundary is now my vulnerability. I'm expressing problems, complaining, or acting like a victim, and I need you, my woman, to fix this problem for me. That's the sound of the vagina just drying up.
Yeah.
That is not your therapist. If you think your girl is your therapist, that is not your girl for much longer.
Oh, God.
Let me do this
Wait,
one.
Here's one. Is it okay to share emotions with a woman after she tells him she has cervical cancer?
Wait, what?
That
wait,
is
wait.
Mark Wallach.
This
That is oddly specific.
Yeah, I think it's fine. I think that's okay. I don't think it's a problem.
I would.
Because that means she's being that vulnerable. I think again, is it okay to be emotional when you just had a child with a woman? Yes.
Yeah.
We're not saying that's not the case. The problem is it's these women that are like, these men haven't done the work and gone to therapy, and on the first date you need to express your feelings. Like, no, you fucking don't.
Don't lead
You
with vulnerability.
You fucking don't. That's the problem. Like, they don't grasp this.
Vulnerability is not fucking game, and everybody thinks it is.
Yes.
And for that guy specifically, you still have to be stronger than her emotionally in that situation, because she's looking at you to take care of her, not the other way around. So you still have to hold your frame in some sort of way to where she's like, oh, why is this guy more worried about me than this shit? Right?
Because again, women are looking for long-term security. They need to know that guy can actually provide that security. If you're overly vulnerable, that's a deficit. That's a mark against you, because it means if you're going to be like this, if you can't figure this out and you need me to help you, then I can't rely on you for that long-term security.
Yep.
So,
But once the relationship is already established, then vulnerability can actually enhance the relationship.
For sure, but I still don't think you need to be solving his problems. Or you can. I just think that you're going to become a little bit less attractive to him in general.